So clearly, everyone in this room cares about keeping children safe. Most child abuse is never seen. The outside world knows none of it. The word neglect does not convey the life-changing, terrible burns my 4-month-old little Casa girl suffered because her mom left her in a crib for days without touch, food, or diaper change. And the child's 6-year-old niece did not know that she was placing the baby into scalding water to remove the hardened poo stuck to her skin, which was causing the baby to scream and cry in pain.
They're not filing cases. They're having kids left in the home under these informal agreements that end up in disasters. There needs to be oversight and there needs to be other parties involved so we can be there for the kids and monitor what's going on. Make sure kids aren't re-victimized. Because that's the problem we're seeing. Kids are not pulled from the home and they are continually victimized to the point where serious things happen to kids before they're finally finding something in court.
The word maltreatment does not convey the repeated rape, beatings, and other severe violence and neglect that happen to my caseload kids. Extended exposure to violence and deprivation is also the World Health Organization's definition of torture.
I have a volunteer CASA advocate who served a child who'd been in the system, went through multiple system foster parent changes, caregiver changes, and stayed with that youth for 7 years before the child was adopted into care. And I think that final placement absolutely understood the trauma that the child experienced and was the absolute right placement. And I think they got there through the support of that one adult that stayed with them throughout multiple placement changes.
Now, Minnesota just finished an investigative report about 200 children that were murdered by their parents while in child protection. This report is likely the most thorough and meaningful report of its kind in the nation. It's a definitive examination of changes needed to keep children safe and keep them alive.
Youth experiencing homelessness tend to live a more transient lifestyle, which makes them more susceptible to things like survival crimes, which build the criminal history for them, or human trafficking. Part of my job is to help them prepare for their future and to break generational trauma and generational poverty.
My first visit to a 4-year-old CASA care kid was in a suicide ward at a local hospital. Her 7-year-old sister was with me for 11 years. When I met her, she had a vocabulary of about 10 words. Now, I call her Anne, the 7-year-old. Anne's 4-year-old sister had watched her sister being raped and beaten her entire life. There were 5 other children in that family over my 11 years. These children could not be placed in foster homes together because they were sexualized. To them, sex was a normal part of their life. How do you unteach sexual behavior, drug use, or the violence to the child that has grown up with it? The only reason Anne came into child protection was that her large 40-year-old abuser had kicked her so hard she'd gone into convulsions. And an ambulance had to be called to save her life.
There is a focus on family first, and a big part of that does keep some of the stuff out of my purview. I think that we do have less cases in front of me because of that. And I understand the tension between the trauma of taking a child out of a family setting. Can we help them in that family setting? Because there's trauma to take them out, but also you're going to subject them to potential trauma that's going to affect them if you don't take them out sooner. That's always a difficult call to make. The federal funding, and let's be honest about it, funding runs a lot of this. Right now, the funding is towards this family first. So I think we, like I said, as a community, we have an obligation to help out the children so that they don't become problems later on.
Abused children have no voice in their home, they have no voice in the media, they have no voice at the State House. Even if they did, what would they say and to whom? Very young children don't even know that what's happening to them is wrong. Without a voice, their stories are never told, and they remain invisible. Because these stories are never told, the policymakers and the public remain unaware of the pain and danger these children live with every day. By sharing what we know about their lives and needs, we in this room can be a voice for voiceless children.